You smell what the Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing. Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Talk 'em in the Building podcast, pro wrestling podcast that focuses solely on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and of course we pontificate upon the promo. I'm Adrian. You already know it's no BS coming from me, and I'm joined by the brothers, the bros, the homies, Ada Lee, Greg, and we got another Dusty review for y'all. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, what we like to do is look at a couple promos from the past and present, and we'll review them, and we'll give it our own rating scale system called the Dusties. So on a scale of 1 Dusty to 5 Dusties, how great was this promo? And ultimately, did it talk you in the building? Fellas, let's go ahead and say today's episode, let's go ahead and title it Disgruntled, Allegedly. All right, I brought you all a couple recent promos from some potentially, allegedly disgruntled or formerly disgruntled employees of a couple of our wrestling companies. First one, it made the waves all throughout Twitter. My guy, PCO, he crashed out on GCW. It was kind of rough, but it was quality entertainment. Of course,
PCO, it's been just about 3 years since we've seen you here in a GCW ring. And on behalf of Game Changer Wrestling, I'd like to welcome you back to GCW. This was a big win for you. And I think we all want to know what's next for PCO.
You know what? For the last 3 years, I've been working for a company called TNA Wrestling. And I'm about to do something right now that I've wanted to do for a long time now. Check it out. Bring me the tools.
What? What is he talking about? Bring me the tools. Where's Emil? I'd get out of here.
Adjusting the ring, maybe?
Sledgehammer. I mean, who hasn't wanted to hit Emil with a sledgehammer, but you can't.
I mean, what's he doing here? New stipulation in the match?
I have no.
What's he doing here? That's a belt.
That's the championship belt. Shouting it up real nice. I don't really understand.
This happened.
oh no, he missed.
No.
Okay.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Please, that's enough. That's enough. Please, you prove your point.
I've sold out the biggest house in TNA history. I sold more t-shirts one night than any TNA.
Yeah. Safe.
Wait, so they cut him off?
Yeah, dude. Safe to say, TNA is looking for a new digital media champion. Safe to say, I think. All right, let's get into it. Greg, man, was that your first time checking that clip out?
Yes.
And what were your thoughts?
Like, I had seen a couple highlights. I had not seen the whole thing.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of what
Yes.
threw me off.
Yes.
What threw
Yes.
me off is
That's
it
what
was
I was
so
looking for.
calculated type of thing.
Mm,
I mean, I have two different reactions. I know we like to break it down. So before I break it down, I mean, the fan in me was like, "What the hell?"
mm,
Like, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad, and the fans didn't react like I thought they would. It
mm,
wasn't like the fans were going crazy,
Mhm.
like yes, it was kind of like there's a part of those fans that are like, no, we still cheer for TNA. Like we want
mm,
TNA to do well because
mm.
they're on that certain level. It's not like Shane Douglas back in the day when he dropped that
Right.
NWA belt and people were like ECW, ECW. It wasn't that reaction at all.
Mhm,
So, but I think what threw me off the most is the announcer, the announcers, or the stickman's reaction. Like the way he
mm,
was trying to stop him and stuff is kind of like if this was 100% real, you would just stand back and be like, whatever, man. And
mm.
the fact he kind of jumped in to try to help stop it a little bit was
Kinda.
kind of like, a
That's a
little
good point.
suspect.
That's a
Yeah.
very good
So,
point. Very good point. Very good point. Um, it was unhinged, man. It was unhinged. The promo was all. I mean, it was all over the place. Let's keep it a buck. That's PCO. That's not his best quality, but I just like the madness. Out of lead, man. You gotta pop once you saw the sledgehammer. You knew what was gonna happen, man. What were your thoughts, man?
Again, I'm gonna start with the fan part because I'm just laughing at the ridiculousness because
Hmm.
he's like come back from the dead. They kind of alluded to
Yes.
it, but then he just misses the belt, which kind of just takes the effect out of it. And I would have been like, "Oh yeah, this is a shoot," and I'm like, "No, he can't even aim it." Shout out to whoever made that on Wildcat belts because that's a pretty sturdy belt if he couldn't break
Mm,
it. Yeah, so from a believability standpoint, I'm kind of with Greg. I don't know what to think. In the pantheon of putting belts in the trash, so to speak.
mhm,
Shane Douglas, Alundra Blaze, and
mhm,
WCW.
mhm.
This is the most confused I've been for any one of these because I don't know where this goes,
Right.
especially knowing that WWE has a relationship with TNA. TNA obviously plays very well with GCW. I mean, we know WWE plays well with GCW. They've allowed talent there, Bloodsport and whatnot,
Mhm,
especially. So it's hard to say, especially because let's give him his flowers too, because I would not think at his age and at this, in the context of what GCW and modern wrestling is, that a PCO would even have a place in wrestling, right?
mm.
And yet he does. He's found a niche, and he's gonna do that moonsault. He's gonna do something reckless and probably hurt himself, but he's out there, so I can't be mad at it. I
Yeah,
mean, my man's trying to like still stay relevant, so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
working because we're talking about him, right?
Right,
So
right. Exactly, exactly. What are you all's thoughts about them cutting off the segment? So like it seems so unplanned. So it kind of goes into that feeling of, whoa, was that real? Or what are your thoughts on that effect?
I mean,
uh,
production wise, it was genius. I mean, he didn't. We didn't get a reason. We didn't get anything.
Right,
It made it feel like he just kind of went off,
right.
but he could have gone too far off because somebody else brought him the belt, somebody else brought him the chair, and somebody else brought him the sledgehammer. So it's not like they wasn't set up with somebody, but
That's true.
the fact that it went off the air like that and just abruptly, it it created conversation, just like what we're talking about. Like
Right,
out of leads a reaction. Wait, they just cut him off. That was the end of it.
right, right.
And I was thinking the same thing. Like that to me is not so much that they cut off the promo,
Mm-hmm.
it's that GCW cut off the promo.
Mm,
mhm.
And it's not about PCO at that point. To me, is this is the rebel company. This is the company that's against everybody else. It's the modern day ECW, the revolution,
mm-hmm.
and they cut it off. So by them doing it, to me, it's like, whoa, that's the bigger story.
Mm. Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I did not think about it that way at all. And yeah,
Mm,
that makes sense. It kind of gives it that more sense of like doubt, I guess, because like,
mm-hmm.
oh, here's the outlaw company, self-defined. and it's too hot for TV. You know, you're
Yeah,
gonna buy a Jerry Springer VHS for this.
exactly.
Exactly. And think about it. This was the pre-show.
Mm,
This was the pre-show.
I didn't know
So
that.
you had a lot of first time or random first time YouTube viewers. Did they buy the pay-per-view to potentially see what happens? It's that kind of intrigue. So I will definitely give them credit for at least pulling that off, or PCO just deciding, hey, this is what I'm gonna do.
So I didn't know that was a pre-show.
Yeah.
So that brings a
Yeah.
whole different element into it.
Yeah.
That's genius
Yes.
because I know Eric Bischoff did that back in the day. Vince did it back in the day, and they would do little things to tease you in those free for alls or whatever. All of a sudden, it's like, oh wait, I need to buy this to figure out what's going to happen.
There we
So
go. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. We talk about all things college football. The Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it. I have buddies who will send me stuff, and they're like, check it out. I'm like, cool. After I saw that, I was like, yeah, I definitely need to check it out because I didn't realize that the CEO and PCO was Crash Out. So now it's P Crash Out. Now he's Crash Out. So I loved it. But let's not drag this out because we have another promo. But before we head on to the next chapter, fellas, we got to give it our Dusty review. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to give it a 3.5 Dusty, just off of how unhinged he was, how unpredictable everything felt. And I just love the production call of cutting off the feed, or at least cutting it to the GCW symbol while we're trying to get this stuff together for the big show. So I'm giving it 3.5. That's my rating. Out of lead.
Oh man, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys.
Okay.
And I'm purely gonna say it only because it worked. I might give it a 4.
Okay.
Purely because I had no interest in this. The PCO was irrelevant, basically, or just in the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
But he did what every good promo should do, or every segment should do. Is he talked me into the building because I want to know what happens next. Now maybe not with a great urgency, but
right.
I'm definitely curious.
Fair. Greg.
Interesting. I was gonna go a little bit lower, but I see what Adeli just said. I was gonna go about a 2.5, and the reason why I kind of wanted more of a because of that. Like he said, I drew the biggest house. I'm like, I want him to just blast, like almost go totally out of character and just go make me feel like Shane Douglas did back in the day. Like, give me a reason that you just put over, or are you putting over GCW? I don't know what you're doing, but that's the part that does talk me into the building, right? There's the curiosity part, but it talks me in because I'm curious, not because I'm passionate. And when it pops up, next time we all get together and talk about it, oh, whatever happened with that? But it's not something I'm going to seek out.
I feel that.
More curious about it, so I'm going with the 2.5 on the.
That's fair. All right, next, alleged disgruntled employee. He's been on the ice. We're all three of us on the podcast are fans of this gentleman. And Adelaide, I know this promo is going to pop you just off of location alone. This promo is from this past weekend's House of Glory show.
I'll get in trouble, so I don't want to leave this for disparagement or interpretation. So I'm going to say it as plainly as this. I cannot thank each and every one of you for sitting over there. For reading your messages, asking if I'm mentally okay, asking if I'm good, checking on me. You don't know me from Smith, but that's the thing about this wrestling shit is that, hey, it don't matter. We're all a part of one thing, right? I have loved wrestling since I was 7. I told my mom I would buy her a house off of this, and God damn it, I have done that, and I'm close to giving her everything else that she wants. I don't take anything easy. I take it the hard way. I take things the way that I want to. If the road ain't paved for cement, guess what? I guess I'm putting on my construction hat and I'm going to work. If you thought that I was somebody less than a year ago, guess what? You're sadly mistaken because now I evolved to a man 4 years from today. And that's saying something because a lot of y'all have not seen anything yet from me. With the last dying breath in this New Orleans heart, I tell you this, I'm gonna stay absolute till I D-I-E. You heard? And you best believe that I'm gonna make sure I make a quick trip back here to Chicago.
Had his match, won his match, and had to talk to the people for a quick second. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing that shook the internet like previous promos of his, but he still got it and he's still working out of lead. What are your thoughts on that promo?
Emanating for Logan Square Auditorium in Chicago, and one of the real cool venues, to watch wrestling.
Yes.
Real
Love that
intimate,
place.
real compact, and whoever sets up there, clearly, they know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky takes advantage of that because he's speaking obviously to a worldwide audience because this is going to eventually be online or
Definitely.
is online, but he's speaking to the crowd there in person. And Paul Heyman talks about being on the island of irrelevancy or relevancy. And here's Ricky trying to get off that island and find a way to stay relevant despite not having TV time, despite not having a presence in the company that he's currently signed to,
right?
And keeping his name alive, right? Saying I'm going to stay absolute until the day I die, basically. All these elements of passion in what was maybe a 2-minute promo. It felt like it was so short, but a pro through and through because he acknowledges the situation without really throwing anybody under the bus, which is pretty impressive to say because, again, he's clearly speaking to a smart crowd. I mean, there's literally a dude with a post-wrestling shirt out in the background.
Right.
So we get it. They get it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to add too many details, and it's short and sweet. And it gives us a state of affairs. It's almost like a state of Ricky Starks. And short of telling us I got 3 months left on my contract or something, which who knows, but shout out to him, one of the guys that we're definitely going to be keeping our eye on because so much potential and so much, unfortunate situation what he finds himself in.
Definitely. Now, prior to that promo, or you catch the tail end of it, he's like, "Let me not say anything that'll get me in trouble." Like that was a little one of those. But we talked about it. He's on ice right now, Greg. His situation is he's currently with All Elite Wrestling. A lot of us are speculating that he wants to go across the road to WWE. And that's the reason why Tony has made that decision to not put him on television. A lot of these wrestlers, when they have this time off, when they come back, we see some ring rust. Did you detect any promo rust from Ricky?
No. And I think what I liked about this promo is it wasn't traditional Ricky. And we've talked about this before. I've been a huge fan of Ricky since he was in NWA and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I was introduced to him. And I remember just being in that building. There's an aura about that dude, and like just even being around him. Like when I met him, it's just something about him. Like that's a star, and he has his promos were kind of rock-esque type promos and stuff. That was from the heart. The way he came across, it was genuine. It had passion, and he didn't blast anybody per se.
Right.
Right. He to your point, out of lead, he knew who he was talking to, so he could kind of talk in code a little bit. He didn't have to say all elite. He didn't have to say elite. He didn't even make a reference like that.
Right.
Everybody knew what he was talking about, and I would argue that right there sold me more on him right now. That passion is there, and that passion for this business is there, and the fact that he loves the fact that the fans check on him, and he kind of made a point. And this is the one underlying part. Look, it doesn't matter who we like. At the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans and we love each other. And he said that. He said, you guys don't know me. You don't really know me. And you're checking on me. You're asking me. So obviously he's referring to a meet and greet or something that was happening. And they're asking him, hey man, are you all right? Like, you off TV, you want to do this. We saw you on these like probably Chris Van Vliet or whatever. And we could tell you're not happy. Are you good? And I think that was the other part that came out, is his passion for the fans, for this business, and his passion for keep going in this business. Like, yes, I'm frustrated, but I'll be damned if I'm done. And I'm going to be absolute till I die. And it's like, boom, he's going to keep going. It made me want to see him more, to be
There
quite
it
honest.
is. Yeah. The passion outweighs any frustration. And that's what the perception is. And this was a huge PR opportunity for Ricky, because we've seen it go the other way, where someone is clearly disgruntled. We just finished seeing PC Crash Out just finished destroying property. We've seen this kind of stuff. He went the other route. He went the classy route. And he lent out that branch to the fans to let them know, hey, I see what y'all are saying online. He's even said it on a podcast before. I want to say with Chris Van Vliet. He's like, I'm always online. I'm always seeing what people are talking about me. One thing people critique about me is that I respond to everything. Well, I'm going to respond because I see it, because I care. And he took a hold of that and he owned it as, I appreciate y'all caring about me. I appreciate you even mentioning my name, because one thing about him being on ice and the other wrestlers that we're hearing more and more about, Phoenix being one of those guys, a lot of these guys are going to go through a weird period of their career where they're on ice. You don't see them on TV. What do I do? How do I stay relevant in this industry where the time is so short for a lot of us, unless you're really, really special, But that's my feeling on Ricky. I mean, I know I'm speaking for all of us when we say, hey, we're pulling for Ricky. We can't wait to see what the next time we see him, whether it's in AEW, WWE, hell, if he does another House of Glory show, I'm with it, because anytime we can see that guy in the ring, anytime we can see him on the mic, I'm with it. But before we head out, Greg, I want to know, how many Dusties are you putting down for this promo?
I'm going with about a 4. And
Okay.
the 4 Dusties, just because of the context of what the world that we're in right now. Like, you got to think about when we rank these, it's not about that was a 4, so this one can't be a 4, right? It's not that. It's about the context of when it is, how it is, and what it means to that person and how it made us feel. For me, Ricky cut a great promo, not downing All Elite by name per se, not taking the cheap route, taking the high road, showing that passion, showing and really talking them into the building the next time he's somewhere, to make you go, man, I want to be behind this dude. That's an underdog. That's a passionate guy, and I want to be with him. So 4 Dusties from me.
Nice. Out of lead.
Yeah, man. I'm going to say 4 and almost lean a little bit differently. So it's not a 5 only because, like Greg said or alluded to, this is almost a promo to sell yourself. It's not a promo to sell a company. or a pay-per-view or anything. It's literally say, I'm here, I'm still around, and thank you for your support. It's a very unique promo of things, and I'm curious, what was going through his head as he's kind of thinking, there's nothing for me. I mean, there's no guarantees of where I'm going to be, but that's the beauty of it, right? We're living in a social media world where, in the past this was unheard of, and someone can stay relevant through social media. So that's a solid 4 for me, just from the content, and like I said, the passion is there, and I just hope he finds his place very soon.
I agree with you guys. A very, very classy, very baby face. If you weren't a fan of Ricky, maybe you're a fan from this. And for that reason, I'm going to give it 5 Dusties, fellas. This is a baby face promo, man. He just finished having a match. You could see it on his body. He just finished getting his chest slapped to raw meat, and he still cut a very eloquent, passionate promo. Even had a couple little funny lines of, if I'm here to work, I'm gonna put on construction hat and get to work, like that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you want to hear from a person that's been on ice. That's a person that's the type of energy that you want to see from someone that you may not see again for quite some time. So for that reason, Ricky, you're getting 5 Dusties from me, and we're definitely cheering for you, brother. We're definitely cheering for you. But listeners, once again, we're the Talk 'em in the Building podcast. We focus solely on the promo. Catch us weekly. Intothebuilding.com. That's where you can find us. That's where you can find a link to our YouTube. And just check out our past episodes. Like we said, we talk about these promos. We break them down. We have our own personal feelings and stories that some of these promos invoked. And we want you to be a part of this community, this growing community. So for Adali, for Greg, I'm Adrian, and we're out.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.